Welcome to Whispered Tales, where we explore stories, tips, and techniques to help you grow. Today, we'll dive into how to sound confident in English and speak like a true leader in any conversation. Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive into techniques and exercises, it's important to understand what confidence in English really means. Confidence is not just about speaking without mistakes or having a perfect accent. It's about believing in yourself, being able to express your ideas clearly, and staying calm even when you don't know every word. Many people feel nervous when speaking English because they worry about judgment, mistakes, or not being understood. But the truth is, everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. What sets confident speakers apart is how they handle mistakes and continue the conversation without hesitation. Think about a situation where you're in a meeting or a casual conversation and suddenly you forget a word. A confident speaker will pause, use a simpler word, or explain their idea differently rather than freezing or apologizing repeatedly. Confidence is built on practice, preparation, and mindset. It's also about body language, tone, and pacing. Even if your words aren't perfect, your audience will feel your confidence through your voice, gestures, and eye contact. First, stop fearing mistakes. Mistakes are not failures, they are stepping stones to improvement. Second, focus on ideas, not words. When you concentrate on what you want to say, the right words often follow naturally. Third, remind yourself that English is a tool for communication, not a test of your worth. These simple mindset changes lay the foundation for speaking clearly, fluently, and with authority. Now that we've discussed the mindset, let's focus on the voice, because how you speak can make a huge difference in how confident you sound. Your voice is not just about volume, it's about tone, pace, and clarity. A calm, steady voice automatically conveys authority and confidence, while a shaky, rushed, or monotone voice can make even smart ideas sound weak. Start by practicing deep breathing. Before you speak, take a slow, deep breath. This helps relax your body, reduces tension in your throat, and strengthens your voice. Notice how public speakers or leaders pause and breathe before making important points. You can do the same. Next, pay attention to your tone. Avoid speaking too high or too fast because it can make you sound nervous. Instead, aim for a moderate pitch with a warm, firm tone. Practice reading aloud from articles, books, or even scripts like this one, and record yourself. Listen carefully. Are you rushing? Do you sound hesitant? Make adjustments to sound steady, clear, and intentional. Another important aspect is pacing. Confident speakers don't rush. They give their words weight. Pausing between sentences or after key points doesn't make you slow. It makes you thoughtful and authoritative. It gives your listeners time to absorb what you're saying, and it also gives you time to think ahead. Finally, remember projection. You don't have to shout, but your voice should reach your audience, whether in person or on a recording. Speak from your diaphragm, not just your throat, and practice projecting your voice so it feels full and confident. Over time, your voice itself will become a natural signal of confidence. Confidence in English is not just about words or voice, it's also about body language. The way you carry yourself communicates just as much as what you say. Even if your English isn't perfect, strong body language can make people perceive you as confident, capable, and in control. Start with posture. Stand or sit upright, with your shoulders relaxed but back. Avoid slouching or hunching over, because it can make you look unsure of yourself. Imagine a leader walking into a room. They take up space without being aggressive, showing calm and authority. You can practice this at home in front of the mirror to get comfortable with the way you look when confident. Next, focus on gestures. Using your hands naturally while speaking emphasizes points and makes your speech more engaging. Avoid fidgeting or crossing your arms because it can signal nervousness or closed-off energy. A good trick is to use slow, deliberate hand movements that match your words. This not only helps your audience follow along, but also reinforces your own confidence while speaking. Eye contact is another key factor. Confident speakers maintain appropriate eye contact without staring or darting their eyes around nervously. When speaking in English, look at your audience, or if recording, at the camera. This builds trust and connection. If you're speaking one-on-one, try to gently shift your gaze between eyes, forehead, and chin to stay natural. Lastly, pay attention to micro-expressions and facial expressions. Smile naturally when appropriate, nod to show understanding, and keep your face relaxed. Tension or forced expressions can make even fluent speech feel awkward or uncertain. Combining good posture, gestures, eye contact, and expressions will make your English sound confident even before a single word comes out. Now that we've covered voice and body language, let's focus on the words you use. The vocabulary and sentence structures you choose can make a huge difference in how confident you sound in English. It's not about using complicated words, it's about clarity, precision, and authority. First, keep it simple and clear. Confident speakers don't try to impress others with long, complicated words. Instead, they use words that are easy to understand but sound deliberate. For example, instead of saying, "I am not entirely sure if I can possibly accomplish this task," you can say, "I believe I can handle this." Simple, direct statements sound more confident and persuasive. Second, use strong verbs. Words like decide, plan, create, and achieve show determination and control. Weak verbs like try, might, or maybe can make your speech sound uncertain. For instance, saying, "I will lead this project" is much stronger than "I'll try to lead this project." Strong verbs convey decisiveness, which is a hallmark of confident speakers. Next, pay attention to sentence structures. Avoid overly long or complicated sentences when speaking. Break your ideas into smaller, clear sentences. This helps your listeners follow your points and gives you a natural rhythm in speech. Confident speakers also use pauses strategically, after an important statement or before emphasizing a key idea. Pauses show thoughtfulness and control. In English conversations, one of the most overlooked secrets to sounding confident is the art of pausing and pacing. Many people feel the need to fill every silence with words, but confident speakers know that pauses are powerful tools. They give your words weight, let your audience absorb your message, and give you time to think clearly. First, let's talk about pausing for emphasis. When you make an important point, pause for a moment before and after saying it. This signals to your listeners that what you just said matters. For example, instead of rushing through, "I think we should focus on teamwork and communication," try saying, "I think we should focus on teamwork and communication." That small pause makes the message sound intentional and authoritative. Next is managing your pace. Speaking too fast can make you seem nervous or unsure, while speaking too slowly can sound unnatural. The key is to find a steady rhythm. Practice reading paragraphs aloud while consciously slowing down. Record yourself and notice whether your words feel rushed. Gradually, you'll develop a natural pace that feels confident and engaging. Another tip is to use pauses when searching for words. If you forget a word or phrase, don't panic. A simple pause combined with gestures or a brief explanation is far better than saying repeatedly. For example, if you forget strategy, you can say, "We need a clear plan to reach our goals." This shows composure rather than uncertainty. Finally, combine pauses with body language and tone. A confident pause is accompanied by relaxed posture, steady eye contact, and calm breathing. This makes every pause purposeful, not awkward. Over time, mastering the art of pausing and pacing will make your English sound deliberate, controlled, and full of authority. One of the biggest obstacles to sounding confident in English is the fear of making mistakes. Many learners hesitate to speak because they worry about mispronouncing words, using the wrong grammar, or being misunderstood. The truth is, mistakes are natural parts of learning, and the way you handle them can either build or break your confidence. First, shift your mindset. Mistakes are opportunities, not failures. Every time you make an error, you learn something new. Confident speakers don't let errors define them. They acknowledge them briefly if needed and continue speaking. For example, if you accidentally say, "He go to the store," you can quickly correct yourself, "He went to the store," and keep going. No over-apologizing, no embarrassment, just smooth continuation. In English conversations, one of the most overlooked secrets to sounding confident is the art of pausing and pacing. Many people feel the need to fill every silence with words, but confident speakers know that pauses are powerful tools. They give your words weight, let your audience absorb your message, and give you time to think clearly. First, let's talk about pausing for emphasis. When you make an important point, pause for a moment before and after saying it. This signals to your listeners that what you just said matters. For example, instead of rushing through, "I think we should focus on teamwork and communication," try saying, "I think we should focus on teamwork and communication." That small pause makes the message sound intentional and authoritative. Next is managing your pace. Speaking too fast can make you seem nervous or unsure, while speaking too slowly can sound unnatural. The key is to find a steady rhythm. Practice reading paragraphs out loud while consciously slowing down. Record yourself and notice whether your words feel rushed. Gradually, you'll develop a natural pace that feels confident and engaging. Another tip is to use pauses when searching for words. If you forget a word or phrase, don't panic. A simple pause, combined with gestures or a brief explanation, is far better than saying, repeatedly. For example, if you forget strategy, you can say, "We need a clear plan to reach our goals." This shows composure rather than uncertainty. Finally, combine pauses with body language and tone. A confident pause is accompanied by relaxed posture, steady eye contact, and calm breathing. This makes every pause purposeful, not awkward. Over time, mastering the art of pausing and pacing will make your English sound deliberate, controlled, and full of authority. One of the biggest obstacles to sounding confident in English is the fear of making mistakes. Many learners hesitate to speak because they worry about mispronouncing words, using the wrong grammar, or being misunderstood. The truth is, mistakes are a natural part of learning, and the way you handle them can either build or break your confidence. First, shift your mindset. Mistakes are opportunities, not failures. Every time you make an error, you learn something new. Confident speakers don't let errors define them. They acknowledge them briefly if needed and continue speaking. For example, if you accidentally say, "He go to the store," you can quickly correct yourself, "He went to the store," and keep going. No over-apologizing, no embarrassment, just smooth continuation. Second, prepare and practice common scenarios. Role-playing situations like meetings, interviews, or casual conversations allows you to anticipate where mistakes might happen and handle them gracefully. The more familiar you are with these situations, the less anxious you will feel when speaking in real life. Another tip is to embrace filler phrases strategically. Words like "let me think," or "how can I put this," or "what I mean is," can give you a moment to gather your thoughts without sounding nervous. Used sparingly, they actually make you sound thoughtful rather than hesitant. Lastly, remember that your audience is generally more forgiving than you imagine. Most people appreciate clear communication and effort more than perfect grammar. Focus on getting your message across rather than achieving perfection. By reframing mistakes as part of the journey, you'll speak more freely, naturally, and confidently in English. Confidence in English also comes from having a strong, functional vocabulary. You don't need to know thousands of words, but knowing the right words for common situations allows you to express yourself clearly and naturally, which instantly boosts your confidence. Start by focusing on high-frequency words and phrases used in everyday conversations. Words related to opinions, emotions, and actions are particularly useful. For example, instead of always saying good or bad, use alternatives like excellent, challenging, interesting, or effective. This makes your speech sound more polished and expressive. Next, practice phrases and collocations, not just single words. Collocations are natural word combinations like make a decision, take responsibility, or express an idea. Using these combinations correctly makes your English flow naturally, rather than sounding like a collection of individual words. Another tip is to learn vocabulary in context. Reading articles, watching videos, or listening to podcasts in English exposes you to real-life usage. When you encounter a new word or phrase, note how it's used and try to use it in your own sentences. Over time, your speech will feel richer and more confident without sounding forced. Finally, practice active recall and repetition. Speak the words and phrases out loud. Write them in sentences, or record yourself. The more you use your vocabulary actively, the more automatic it becomes. Automaticity reduces hesitation and makes your English sound natural, fluent, and confident. One of the most powerful ways to sound confident in English is through active listening. Listening is often overlooked, but it is crucial because it exposes you to natural speech patterns, expressions, and rhythms. When you listen carefully, your brain absorbs not just vocabulary, but also tone, pace, and pronunciation, which you can later replicate in your own speech. Start by listening to podcasts, audiobooks, or conversations in English. Focus on how native speakers pause, emphasize words, and change their tone to show confidence or authority. Notice small details like stress on important words and natural sentence flow. Try to mimic these patterns when practicing. Another effective technique is shadowing. Pick a short segment of audio and repeat what you hear exactly as it is spoken, matching the tone, pace, and emotion. Shadowing helps you internalize fluent speech patterns, making your own English sound natural and confident. Listening also improves your ability to respond appropriately in conversations. When you pay attention, you can pick up on cues, understand the context better, and answer without hesitation. Confident speakers don't just talk, they listen, process, and then respond thoughtfully. Finally, don't just passively listen, engage with the content. Repeat phrases, write down sentences, and practice using them in your own conversations. Over time, listening becomes a tool that automatically enhances your confidence, fluency, and command over English. Small talk might seem trivial, but it's actually a key skill for sounding confident in English. Many people struggle with casual conversations because they feel they need to say something perfect or profound. The truth is, confidence comes from engaging naturally, not from impressing others with flawless sentences. Start by learning common conversation starters. Simple questions like, "How was your weekend?" or "What do you think about this topic?" are enough to kick off a dialogue. The goal isn't to have a perfect answer, but to participate actively in the conversation. Next, focus on listening and responding naturally. A confident speaker doesn't dominate the conversation. They show interest in the other person. Use short responses like, "That's interesting," "I see," or "Tell me more about that," to keep the conversation flowing smoothly. These small interactions show that you are engaged and comfortable speaking English. Another tip is to practice speaking in daily life. Talk to colleagues, classmates, or even strangers in simple situations like ordering coffee or asking for directions. These small exercises train your brain to respond quickly and naturally, reducing hesitation and boosting confidence. Finally, remember that body language and tone matter as much as words in small talk. Smile, maintain relaxed posture, and use a steady tone. These nonverbal cues signal openness and confidence, making your English sound natural and authoritative even in casual conversations. Another powerful way to sound confident in English is through storytelling. Humans are naturally drawn to stories, and speaking in a story format allows you to express ideas clearly while capturing attention. When you tell a story, your audience follows your words, your pacing, and your tone, which makes your English sound more fluent and confident. Start by practicing simple stories from your life or experiences. It could be about a recent trip, a funny incident, or a lesson you learned. Structure your story with a beginning, middle, and end. This organization helps you speak smoothly without losing track of your thoughts. Next, focus on descriptive language. Use adjectives and adverbs to paint a picture. The sky was a deep, brilliant blue, instead of just the sky was blue. Adding these details engages your listener and makes your storytelling dynamic. Confident speakers don't just state facts, they create imagery and emotion through their words. Another tip is to practice vocal variation. Change your tone, pace, and volume according to the emotions in your story. Speak slower during suspensive moments and slightly faster during exciting parts. These vocal changes make your story more engaging and demonstrate control over your speech.
Finally, remember that practice is key. Record your stories, listen to yourself, and adjust. The more you tell stories, the more natural and confident your English will become. Storytelling not only improves fluency, but also makes conversations memorable and enjoyable for both you and your audience. One of the most challenging parts of speaking English is handling questions, especially unexpected ones. Confident speakers don't need to have all the answers. They know how to respond thoughtfully, stay calm, and maintain authority. First, learn to pause before answering. A brief pause shows that you are considering your response carefully. For example, instead of rushing into an answer, say, "That's an interesting question. Here's how I see it." This not only buys you a few seconds to organize your thoughts, but also projects composure. Next, paraphrase the question before answering. This ensures you understood it correctly and gives you a moment to frame your response. For example, "So you're asking how we can improve team communication?" Well, paraphrasing makes you sound attentive and intelligent. Another technique is to answer in steps. Break your response into small, clear points. This prevents you from rambling and makes your English sound structured and authoritative. Use phrases like "firstly," "secondly," "finally" to guide your listener through your answer. Lastly, if you genuinely don't know the answer, handle it gracefully. You can say, "I don't have the full details right now, but I can look into it and get back to you." Confident speakers don't bluff. They remain composed and honest. Handling questions this way reinforces your credibility and helps you sound calm, even under pressure. Confidence in English starts from within, and one of the most effective ways to build it is through positive self-talk. The way you talk to yourself influences your mindset, your willingness to speak, and the way others perceive you. Negative thoughts like "I'm not good at English" or "I'll make a mistake" can hold you back before you even start speaking.
Start by replacing negative thoughts with empowering ones. For example, instead of saying, "I'll never get this right," say, "I can communicate clearly, and it's okay if I make mistakes." Repeating affirmations like, "I speak English confidently," or "My ideas are valuable" before a conversation can boost your self-belief. Another tip is to visualize success. Before speaking, imagine yourself expressing your ideas fluently, maintaining eye contact, and feeling calm. Visualization tricks your brain into believing it can achieve the outcome, which naturally increases confidence. Also, practice reflecting on past successes. Recall moments when you spoke well or communicated effectively. This reminds you that you are capable and helps reduce anxiety before future conversations. Finally, combine positive self-talk with action. Confidence grows when thoughts are backed by practice. Speak, make mistakes, learn, and celebrate your progress. Over time, this mindset shift will make your English sound naturally confident, and your presence in conversations will feel stronger and more authoritative. To sound truly confident in English, practice with real conversations is essential. Reading books, listening to podcasts, and doing exercises are helpful, but nothing beats interacting with people in real-life situations. Speaking with others allows you to apply everything you've learned: voice, body language, vocabulary, and mindset in a natural context. Start with low-pressure conversations. Talk to friends, classmates, or colleagues who are supportive and patient. Simple topics like hobbies, weekend plans, or favorite movies are perfect for practice. The goal is not perfection, but comfort and fluency. Next, join English-speaking communities or online groups. Platforms like language exchange apps, discussion forums, or virtual meetups provide safe spaces to practice speaking. Here, you can get feedback, learn new expressions, and gradually build your confidence in a realistic environment. Another tip is to set small goals for each conversation. For example, aim to speak for 5 minutes without hesitating, or try to use 3 new phrases naturally. Gradually increasing your challenge helps you improve steadily without feeling overwhelmed. Finally, reflect after each conversation. Ask yourself what went well, where you hesitated, and how you can improve next time. This continuous feedback loop, combined with real conversations, accelerates your growth. Over time, you'll notice that speaking English confidently becomes natural, even in unexpected situations. Pronunciation plays a major role in how confident you sound in English. Even if your grammar and vocabulary are strong, unclear pronunciation can make listeners struggle to understand you, which may affect your confidence. The good news is that small improvements can make a big difference. Start by listening carefully to native speakers. Pay attention to how they pronounce vowels, consonants, and syllables. Notice subtle differences like the th sound in think or this, which often challenge English learners. Repeat after them, trying to match both sound and rhythm. Next, focus on stress and intonation. English is a stress-timed language, meaning certain words in a sentence are naturally emphasized. For example, in the sentence, "I didn't say he stole the money," stressing a different word changes the meaning. Practicing stress patterns not only improves pronunciation, but also helps you sound more natural and confident. Another tip is recording yourself. Listen to your pronunciation and compare it with native speakers. Identify areas where your pronunciation is unclear and practice those words or sounds repeatedly until they feel natural. Finally, practice tongue twisters and short phrases. Tongue twisters like "she sells seashells by the seashore" help strengthen mouth muscles and improve clarity. Speaking clearly with the right stress and rhythm sends a powerful signal of confidence to your listeners, making your English sound professional and authoritative. Confident English speakers know that asking questions is just as important as answering them. Questions show engagement, curiosity, and thoughtfulness, all of which make you appear confident and intelligent in any conversation. Start with prepared, useful question phrases. Examples include, "Could you explain that further?" Or, "What's your opinion on this?" Or, "How do you usually approach this situation?" Using polite and clear questions demonstrates that you are actively participating without appearing hesitant.
Next, practice phrasing naturally. Avoid overly formal or complicated sentences like, "Would you be so kind as to elucidate your perspective?" Instead, keep it simple. "Can you explain your point?" Simplicity makes your questions sound confident and easy to understand. Another tip is to listen before asking. Don't interrupt or ask random questions. Pay attention to what the other person is saying and ask follow-up questions that add value to the conversation. This shows that you are thoughtful and engaged, qualities associated with confident speakers. Finally, combine questions with body language and tone. Smile slightly, maintain eye contact, and use a calm tone. Even if your English is not perfect, these nonverbal cues make your questions feel natural and assertive. Confident questioning not only improves your communication skills, but also encourages meaningful dialogue, making you a stronger speaker overall. Many English learners worry about using filler words like or you know. While excessive fillers can make you sound uncertain, used strategically, they can actually help you maintain flow and confidence in conversation. Start by understanding that fillers are not always bad. Native speakers often use them to pause and gather their thoughts without stopping the conversation completely. The key is to use them sparingly and replace unnecessary ones with more confident alternatives like "let me think," "that's a great question," or "here's my point." These phrases give you a moment to organize your thoughts while sounding natural and composed. Next, practice transition fillers to connect ideas. Words like, for example, "on the other hand," or "in addition," make your speech smoother and help you sound structured. Confident speakers use these fillers to guide listeners through their ideas clearly rather than to hide hesitation. Another tip is to pause intentionally instead of using fillers excessively. A calm, brief pause often works better than saying repeatedly. This shows control and thoughtfulness, making your English sound more authoritative. Finally, record yourself speaking and listen for overuse of fillers. Replace unnecessary ones with pauses or confident phrases. Mastering this balance improves your fluency, clarity, and the overall impression you leave as a confident English speaker. Confidence in English isn't just about speaking clearly, it's also about engaging your audience. Whether you're in a meeting, a casual conversation, or recording a podcast, keeping your listeners interested makes your speech more compelling and authoritative. Start by asking questions or encouraging responses. Even in one-on-one conversations, simple questions like, "What do you think?" or "Have you experienced this before?" create interaction and make your speech feel dynamic. It shows that you are confident enough to include others in the dialogue. Next, use relatable examples and stories. Sharing personal experiences or anecdotes makes your conversation memorable and builds connection. Confident speakers use stories not just to inform, but to create emotional impact, which strengthens their presence. Another important aspect is monitoring your listeners' reactions. Pay attention to their expressions, body language, and verbal cues. If they look confused, clarify calmly. If they seem interested, expand on the topic. Adjusting your speech based on feedback demonstrates awareness and self-assuredness. One of the most effective ways to sound confident in English is to think in English rather than translating from your native language. Translating can slow you down, create awkward sentences, and make you sound uncertain. Thinking directly in English allows you to speak more fluently and naturally, which immediately boosts confidence. Start by describing your day or surroundings in English. For example, while making breakfast, think, "I'm boiling eggs and cutting a tomato for my sandwich." Simple exercises like this train your brain to process thoughts in English automatically. Next, practice internal dialogue. When you're alone, narrate your actions or thoughts in English. "I need to finish this report before 3 p.m.," or "I should call my friend later." This habitual practice strengthens your ability to form sentences quickly during real conversations. Another tip is to learn to think in phrases, not individual words. Instead of thinking word by word, focus on small chunks like "I would like to" or "Can you tell me?" This helps your speech sound smooth and natural, reducing hesitation and filler words. Finally, immerse yourself in English content. Watch shows, listen to podcasts, or read articles without translating. Try to understand the meaning directly in English. Over time, your brain will start forming thoughts in English automatically, making your speech more confident, fluent, and natural in any situation. Building lasting confidence in English requires daily practice. Confidence doesn't come overnight. It grows steadily when you make consistent efforts to speak, listen, and engage with English every day. Small, focused practice sessions are more effective than occasional long ones. Start by setting realistic daily goals. For example, dedicate 15 to 30 minutes each day to speaking exercises, reading aloud, or listening to podcasts. Consistency is key. Even brief practice every day keeps your skills sharp and strengthens your comfort level in English. Next, mix different types of practice. Speak aloud to yourself, record your voice, converse with friends, participate in online discussions, or narrate stories. Variety prevents monotony and helps you develop multiple aspects of confident communication, including pronunciation, tone, vocabulary, and fluency.
Another important habit is reviewing and reflecting. At the end of each practice session, ask yourself, what went well? Where did I hesitate? Which phrases or words can I improve? This reflection turns practice into learning and helps you track progress over time. Finally, celebrate small wins. Each day you speak more confidently, correctly use a new phrase, or handle a question smoothly, acknowledge your progress. These small achievements reinforce positive behavior and gradually build strong, lasting confidence in English. Daily practice is not just a routine, it's the foundation of speaking fluently and confidently in any situation. Now that we've explored mindset, voice, body language, vocabulary, storytelling, listening, and daily practice, it's time to bring everything together to sound truly confident in English. Confidence in English is a combination of how you think, how you speak, and how you present yourself. Start by preparing mentally before any conversation or speech. Remind yourself of your abilities, use positive self-talk, and visualize success. This sets a strong foundation for confident communication. Next, combine voice, tone, and body language. Speak clearly with steady pacing, use pauses for emphasis, maintain upright posture, gesture naturally, and make eye contact. These nonverbal cues communicate authority and help reinforce what you're saying. Then, focus on words and phrasing. Use strong verbs, clear sentences, and authoritative phrases. Think in English, avoid overusing fillers, and structure your responses logically. This makes your speech sound polished, fluent, and persuasive. Finally, remember that practice and real conversations are your best tools. Engage in discussions, tell stories, ask and answer questions, and listen actively. Confidence grows over time with consistent effort, reflection, and learning from experience. By combining all these strategies, mindset, voice, body language, vocabulary, storytelling, listening, and daily practice, you'll not only speak English fluently, but also project natural authority and self-assurance in any situation. Confidence in English isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, communicating effectively, and believing in yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If you found these tips helpful, please subscribe to Whispered Tales for more insights and techniques. Next time, we'll bring you another exciting topic that will help you grow, speak better, and feel more confident in every conversation. Stay tuned and keep practicing.